What's up, Lincoln Abes? We are going to go over the basics and the foundations of music. So, what you see here is the foundation upon which music is written. We call it the staff. The staff is the 5 lines and 4 spaces on which we write music. So, what you're looking at, you'll notice it is 5 lines and 4 spaces, and we call it the staff. Notice, are those numbered from bottom to top or top to bottom? Yes, bottom to top. That's so critical because when we are talking about the lines on the staff, I want you to notice that if I was talking about this, let's go this line here, I would say I'm looking at the second line. But if you were looking at the second line from the top, we would be talking about different lines. So we always count from bottom to top when we're talking about those lines. It is important to notice that every note on the staff corresponds with a note on the keyboard. Before we go on, though, there's a couple of other things for us to cover. On the music, on the staff, each symbol will tell you a couple of things. One, it's going to tell you pitch. That is the highness and lowness of sound. Pitch is the highness and lowness of sound. It will also tell you duration. That is the longness and shortness of sound. So each symbol, you can think of it, if you like math, like an X and Y axis, where you've got the highness and lowness and the longness of shortness, and each symbol on the staff, each note or rest is going to tell you that. Let's cover notes and rests really fast. A note is a symbol that represents sound, and a rest is a symbol that represents silence. We'll get into the types of notes and rests a little bit later, but for right now, some symbols, notes, will tell you both pitch and duration. A rest is a symbol that represents silence, so it just tells you duration. It does not tell you pitch, because it has no pitch, because it's quiet, it's silent. So, quick review. We've got staff, which is the 5 lines and 4 spaces on which we write music. We have pitch, which is the highness and lowness of sound. We have duration, which is the longness and shortness of sound. We also have note, which is the symbol that represents sound, and a rest is a symbol that represents silence. So, as you are looking at the notes and symbols on the keyboard, you don't know which note on the staff goes to a note on the keyboard unless you have one more symbol. You need to add a clef sign. A clef sign is a symbol that assigns pitches to the staff. Each clef sign is associated with a specific set of pitches. And so, without the clef sign, we don't know which notes to play. But when you add the clef sign, a symbol that assigns pitches to the staff, all of a sudden, we know which notes we're talking about. So there are 2 main clefs that we work with. One is called treble clef, and the other is called bass clef. So, when we are looking, let's start with treble clef. Treble clef is also called G clef, and it assigns higher pitches to the staff. The upper pitches. Generally, if you're looking at the piano, middle C is in the middle, and everything above that is what we call the treble notes, the higher notes. So, a long time ago, the treble clef used to look like the letter G, and then it was stylized over time to be the symbol that we have today. But the one pitch that it tells you, the reference, it gives you G. G, in this case, is the second line. Remember, we count from bottom to top. So we call treble clef G clef. It is an alternate name. So treble clef, also called G clef, and it assigns higher pitches to the staff. As we move from G up, we go to the next note up. Now, in music, it starts with A. You label the letters of the notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it goes up to A again and continues to go on. So, above G, we have the next note is A. Above A, what do you think is next? B. Above B is C, and it keeps going on like that. Notice that as we're going up, we go forward in the alphabet, and we go higher in pitch. Now, this is where it gets really cool. Look right here. Notice we've run out of room on the staff. What are we going to do next? We are going to add a ledger line to solve our dilemma. A ledger line is a small line added above or below the staff. What is it? a small line added above or below the staff. So check this out. Watch that question mark right here. And boom, there we go. We drop in a small little line and we are good to go because you can add extra notes just like that. And again, notice we went from G to A. Now I could keep going up if I wanted to add more ledger lines as we go higher and higher. Let's take a look now at bass clef. Bass clef is also called F clef, and that's the reference that it gives us. Back in the day, it used to look like the letter F, and then over time, it was stylized to the symbol we have today. But it shows you on the fourth line, that fourth line is F going through there. So now we're going to fill the staff with notes. Notice as we go up, again, it goes forward, G, F goes up to G, G goes up to A. Now, one thing I also want to notice, make sure that as you are looking at notes and letters on the staff, that you're going line to space to line to space. That's very critical as we're doing that exercise, going up and down. So as you go down, notice F goes backwards to E, E goes backwards to D. So as you go down, we count backwards. As you go up, we count forwards. Finally, we're going to look at the grand staff. This is a theoretical staff of 11 lines. Keep your eyes right here on this middle line for a second. If you get rid of that line, all of a sudden you have two sets of 5 lines and 4 spaces. We call that a staff. It's the foundation on which music is written. So when you get rid of that 11th line, all of a sudden you have 2 staffs right next to each other. You can throw the clef signs on them, and then that imaginary line in the middle is middle C. So this corresponds and allows you to, with middle C being the middle of the piano, it extends to the right for treble clef, your higher notes, and to the left for bass clef, your lower notes, and you have them all here. What's also cool is you can see how with that imaginary 11th line right there in the middle, it locks it together. What was bass clef also called? F clef, and it shows you that 4th line is F. Let's count line to space to line, and we've got the G of G clef, and we're going to work our way up. So F goes up to G, that's the space, goes up to A. B is the space, C is that middle line, D, E, F, and then we end up with G. So the 2 clefs lock together in what we call the grand staff, and that's what we use for playing piano. Now I want to talk for just a second about how that actually looks on the piano keyboard and connecting it to the staff that we just talked about. So on the piano, you can see that we have middle C right here in the middle. That's kind of how we got the name. Generally speaking, as you go up in the treble clef, further up, that is where you will use your notes in your right hand as you're playing those. As you go further to the bass clef side, to the left, those are the lower notes. Now, you can look down here and you can see that there's a little bit of an overlap. There are times when your right hand will move to the left, and you can see some of these notes here still shown in treble clef with ledger lines. Same thing over here. You've got some bass clef notes shown in ledger lines. So there is a little bit of an overlap in the center. And then as you go higher, you can see those notes and how they connect on the keyboard.